Hey, you gotta mic the little dude up.
Hey, you know what I started doing? Instead of taping my hands?
Yep.
Wrap these bitches up like a weight room.
So you can jab the shit out of people.
I said, why didn't we do that?
Right.
You don't do it after every series?
This is the most O-lineman thing that's ever happened on the pivot.
No washing.
Because there's the other thing.
Everybody fresh and clean. I'm out of dirty as good.
If you move your seat, laying there, not gonna be able to see you.
Right here, good?
Yeah.
Do you know how big you are?
Not as big as Jordan. Thank God.
Like I said, though, this is the most offensive lineman thing that's ever happened on the pivot. But, I mean, shoot, when you future Hall of Famer, I guess Lane was like, shit, I come out here any kind of way.
Nah, because I watch y'all stuff all the time. I was like, hey, I know there ain't many linemen on it, hey, but I still be watching. I be in the shadows watching.
Hey, appreciate it.
Hold up, limitless. Take a stomach, got pinning it. I fought the here to witness it. Got my people feeling militant. Way I'm feeling, got me up. On the mission, got me up. Knowing me, I got the key. On this vision, I can trust. Limitless. Take a stomach, got pinning it. I fought the here to witness it. Got my people feeling militant.
Fred Taylor, Channing Crowder, and Ryan Clark. Pivot fam, thank y'all for pivoting with us in our training camp tour. Lane, man, I just want to ask about like your feelings on where you are now with the journey of quarterback to tight end, junior college, Oklahoma, a high draft pick. You've dealt with personal adversity. You've dealt with adversity in your career on the field. What sort of space are you in now when you look at what you've accomplished?
I'm in a good headspace, except when some of my teammates come in here during training camp and they're all retired and feeling, got some free time on their hands. But, I mean, other than that, I miss my guys. But, I mean, I feel good. I feel better than when I was 30, going through surgeries on my ankle. So I think what motivated me is that I had some prime years of mine robbed. I felt like really 2 good years, and I'm trying to make up for it now. So the hunger's still there. All my guys keep me, hungry and humble, and I'm trying to have a good time, whatever time I have left, because you know how it is. Once you're out of the building, man, it's hard to replicate what you feel inside of it.
100%.
Even though we were just at practice, and you went to talk to the fans, and they introduce you as future Hall of Famer. Like that presentation, and everybody knows you one of the best tackles ever to play this game, but is that pressure, or is that just, I've worked hard enough to be there?
Yeah, I mean, but it wasn't always like that. Like, I'm just now getting this. This is year 13 for me, so, year 5, year 10, I kind of thrived on just doing my job, and eventually guys would notice. But what was pressure for me is I was coming in as the 4th overall pick, and I got Jason Peters, 9-time Pro Bowler and one of the best to do it, and you got to, just watch him, replicate him. So, but I was very thankful to have him as a mentor. Some guys could see somebody coming in and be in competition, not wanting to help him, but he took me under his wing and really, like I said, I only played 2 years in college, so him teaching me the game, the ins and outs of it, I just felt like, usually as guys kind of age 20, high 20s, lower 30s, I'm still pushing the envelope. So, I got lots of good guys helping me along the way.
Man, you just, 2 things just stood out right there. You said 4th overall pick, right, when you drafted here, and then you played 2 years of college ball. Earlier, RC, he kind of briefly touched on the transition from QB to tight end to DN to lineman. Like, kind of paint that picture for us, though, man, because how is that being a quarterback?
Oh, I love it.
You're a freaking quarterback, all-state, and then now you end up as a offensive lineman. That doesn't happen.
I never thought it was going to be this way. I never envisioned it to be this way. So I went to Oklahoma as a tight end. I knew that's probably what I was going to end up playing. Played some backup first 2 years. Then it switched me halfway through my sophomore year to DN. I was around 275, 80 pounds, and it was Josh Heupel, Mark Mangino came to practice, and so they converted Jamal Brown at Oklahoma from D-tackle to O-tackle, back in the early 2000s. And I remember going to spring practice, and I was at DN, and then they tapped me on the shoulder and told me to do a pass set, and I did it, and it kind of felt like basketball to me because I grew up, that's all I played was basketball. For me, it was something that came natural. Initially when they asked me to do it, I was like, man, hell no, it's the last resort. But then I knew, I was going to be a backup guy at some of those other positions, and I was new to it. I was all about it. And as a quarterback, man, it was 2 different. You got the 707, us linebackers, cornerbacks, and then the O-line, D-line doing their own thing. Right. So I kind of got, I was in one world, and then I got immersed in this other world, the past 15 years. But, it was nothing that was definitely not planned. Right. I didn't expect it, but my goal was I was trying to play. I was tired of sitting on the bench, so
Right.
That's where I was at.
I don't know if your aesthetic has evolved with the position, right? Like the beard and the bald head. That's not even a quarterback look.
Migrated.
You know what I'm saying? Like that's not
migrated.
even a quarterback look.
Yeah.
Who does have a quarterback look is your quarterback, right?
Yeah.
When Jalen walks into the stadium and you had to pick a position, you'd be like, yeah, I know what that guy plays. There's been a lot of chatter since the Super Bowl about rankings and where he is and who he is. And like I said on TV, what he is a winner, surrounded by a ton of winners on his team. When you think about your quarterback, what are some of the attributes that helps Jalen lead this team in the way that he does?
I think his demeanor. The city's very rambunctious, very passionate. I think you need a guy that's very even keel. Emotions don't ever get high, even when we win a Super Bowl. We smiled a couple times, but it was back to work. So when you have a guy like that, and when he first came in, you don't know if it's the role he's playing, but no, that's how he's always been. And I think, for me, it allows guys to stay calm in pressure moments, seeing the guy never get rattled. And then, with Jalen, man, he's always working. You go in there before practice, he's got his own routine, and it's never wavered since he's been a rookie. It's only, kept developing. And now, as he's aging, he's becoming more personal with the guys on the team. But he's always been, the same demeanor, same leader from day one, just more evolved over the past couple of years. But, I respect how he works, man. That's what I respect about him.
They criticize Jalen because of y'all, pretty much. I blame it on you. He has Hall of Fame linemen.
Yeah.
He has one of the best running backs, man. He bring in Say. Now, you already had AJ. You already had Tay Smith. You had all them boys. What do you say to people that criticize Jalen because of the fact that y'all have an amazing team?
Yeah, first of all, it's not his fault. Second of all is, man, you got all these big personalities. You've been on football, all these teams. You've been a part of huge personalities. Sometimes it's hard to manage all these guys, If we want to hand the ball off to Saquon every time, I'm sure we could lead the league in rushing. If we want to throw the ball every play, I bet we could have, 2 receivers well above the 1,000-yard mark. So this guy's being selfless, realizing that, hey, Saquon's coming here. It's going to be a little bit different style of offense. But, guys all working together, man. That's, and him managing all these guys. But, with Jalen, he continues to win. And I think when he does that, I think that can just kind of eliminate some of the conversations. And as guys retire and different things go, obviously he's going to answer more questions with different seasons, whoever is in the lineup. But, man, he's managed everything so well. A lot of things are out of his control.
Do you remember exactly what you were doing when you got the news that y'all were signing Saquon? And could you believe it?
I couldn't believe it. I said, how did they let this MFer go?
Right.
They should have never done that.
Never.
Because I saw him running, obviously on the other sideline. I said, man, this dude's in purgatory right now.
Right.
Yeah.
He's got his moments, but I was very excited. Obviously, didn't think it was going to ever happen. But when I saw him in the locker room with pads on, I was like, okay, this is real. But, man, it took about a play, 2 plays to realize, man, it's going to be a special season. Really, like that first pass at Green Bay last year in the end zone, I was like, man, this guy's special. Just being, running, 230 pounds, guys don't move like that big. And the thing about him, man, he's such a galvanizing, piece of our locker room, such a good, humble guy. And I think, he sets a good example for lots of guys in the locker room.
Just after practice right here, he called me over to the running backs group, and he asked me to share, 3 pieces of information or things that I did either on the field or off the field throughout my career to make me, become the player that I became. And he said, remove me from it, right? And I just think, when you talk about Saquon, that's exactly who he is. He doesn't want the fame. He doesn't want the credit. He just wants everybody else around him to get the credit and get better. Be better.
Yeah, he's really good. With AJ came in here, Dylan, Will Shipley. Man, those guys are consistently getting better. So, part of being a good leader, I think, is elevating others. And, that's what he does. And, man, he's also a fun guy. Man, he likes to play golf, talks a lot of shit. So, man, we have fun. We have fun in the huddle. So it's all good.
For you, Lane, there's obviously this sort of wisdom that comes with experience. But you also learned to be open and vulnerable with things that you were dealing with. 2021, you took 2 weeks away, missed 3 games, and you came back with the tweet and said, that you were dealing with anxiety and you were dealing with things like depression and you felt like you hid those things. What impacted you to make you come out and acknowledge those things publicly? And how did that moment and how has that moment affected you as you've gone through life since that time?
For me, what was so hard about that year is I had ankle surgery. And so coming back before training camp, man, I was training, but I couldn't really run. I couldn't propel off my left foot. And so I'm in training camp and, things that are usually pretty easy for me wind up being pretty difficult. So for me, it was like I'd rather not go on as a shell of myself than go out there being, somebody that's playing through an injury. So for me, like I was at a point where I wanted to be done with the game. If this wasn't going to heal up and turn into what it is now, but it really hindered my performance. I wish the circumstances would have been different, but when I had surgery on this first time, I had a tightrope. So this is before the 2020 season. I played 7 games with the tightrope broke. So it broke like game 2. So that's holding the 2 bones together. And so on top of that, I had a deltoid injury that wasn't taken care of. So I had, which is the rotator cuff of your left ankle. So I'm playing 7 games with that. My shit's all messed up. I had to go in the season next year. My ankle's totally decimated. And for me, like I try not to get beat hardly ever, but when I was out there, I was constantly just thinking about this foot, this ankle, how much problems it was giving me. And I was like, man, that's the only time, like in my career, I've been in that spot where like, man, something's really hampering what I'm able to do. And so the last thing I want to do is admit these guys, hey man, I can't, And so for me, that's what I had to learn, is to not internalize it all and to be more vocal with them, which is something, as vets, you don't want to tell guys if you're injured, bang up. You try not to be in the training room,
Right.
So that was my thinking. But the main issue was, man, I had a severe ankle injury and I was on my mind constantly, moving forward. It's something I won't do again as far as, holding back from the team or doing what I did. But I was in a situation, man, I want to be done with football.
What did getting away help you do? Like, how did getting away help you process to the point where you were ready to come back, be honest about what was going on?
Everything I just described to you, I never did tell them. I never did tell anybody. So I didn't tell them the impact that it was having on, just playing. I was going practice in, practice out. This thing was bothering me so bad, but I didn't want to tell anybody. That was the thing. I was just being selfish, prideful, and it ended up coming back to haunt me for those 2 weeks. But what I did, man, I talked to the wooden belt buckle man. You know what I'm talking about?
Credit the psych.
Got me right. So Dr. Rosen, he's Saban's right-hand man.
Yep.
Him implementing the process, but man, that's been my guy since I got drafted here. So on draft day, I'm one of 3 guys they may be taking. So basically, they do like a psychological profile on the guys to say who's going to be able to make it or not. So I credit Dr. Rosen for getting me back in the league and get my mind right. But for me, man, my anxiety has always come from like a perfectionism. I don't want to ever get beat in practice. I don't take that shit very good. Let my team down. That's my worst fear, is let my team down. And so for me, that was something that I had to learn to cope with and to really talk about throughout my career, because I didn't want to do that when I was early on. There wasn't nobody to talk to about it really in depth. What he's allowed me to do is, he realizes that people are able to be coached different. Some players respond to the classroom. Some people do better walkthroughs. So he's just been a huge tool just for not only me, but for a lot of guys in the O-line room, just getting better as a football player and as a person.
The wooden belt man, I talked to him a lot, but it was because I was getting locked up. Saban said, you got to talk to somebody. But with that thought, like the realization that you need help, what was the straw that broke the camel's back? Because it didn't pop up with your ankle. It probably was there the whole time.
No, I realized that other players, really big-time players, were going through similar stuff. And so I thought, some of these guys were untouchable. Didn't feel any of these emotions. But what I realized, man, is I had a lot more in common with my fellow teammate and brothers there. But it's something that a lot of guys kind of internalize and don't talk about. So, and now the NFL, I feel like, is in a lot better place than what it was 5-10 years ago. They have these outlets. And it's a big thing for making guys perform. You get them in the right headspace, man, they can do a lot better. So he helped me.
Lane, we got something in common. I actually had the tightrope done too. After a severe high ankle, I got all type of shit going on in there too.
Cracking, yeah.
A little
popping.
cracking, little this and that. I can't sneak out the room.
Yeah.
Like my feet, it's always something. But you talk about going through that, dealing with the ankle. What about was it patella during the Super Bowl run a couple years ago, not being able to play in that game?
Yeah, I tore my groin against the Cowboys December 24th. So I was taking a pass set, defensive end made an inside move, and I went to plant off my right leg, and I felt it pop, but it felt like kind of a Charlie horse. I went to the sideline. I was like, man, this thing's knotted up. So game's over, we lose, and then next day I was like, man, something ain't right. So ended up going. This side's tore. This side was tore too. I just didn't know. I didn't feel it. So 3 weeks before the playoffs, and I was like, we got a good team.
Right.
We got a good chance. And after the Giants game, like I took a couple of bull rushes, I was like, hurt. And then after that, it kind of it wasn't too much of an issue. It's like whenever these cut off, compensation happened, but I was like, I wasn't in as much pain as I thought I'd be. But it's one of those chances, one of those things. I'm in my 11th year. If I'm in it's at a certain time in my career where you got to take those chances. So something I never thought I'd be going through, but I wasn't feeling as much pain, as what it seemed.
I was there in New Orleans for the Super Bowl, right? And I am, first off, when we have Super Bowl conversations, you could just talk to me. Those two they don't really know about what that feels like to play in one, win one. That's not really something that they've experienced.
8th grade, Gatorade.
And so when you were playing Kansas City, that's not a revenge game. You don't get the loss back. Like that's not the way it works. When you guys got rolling though, and you see the huge lead, what was that feeling like to be in the biggest game in the world on the biggest stage against today's dynasty and have that feeling of domination in that way?
Well, it wasn't like that the first time. It was a very tight game.
Yeah.
I told a lot of guys I'd rather lose how they lost and lose by 3. How we lost the first time. The emotion of that was stronger than the winning. So, during that moment, once the Devontae Smith touchdown happened, I was like, it's a lock. But I still had that reminder from last time that I wanted to keep pressing. But, I think from our standpoint, they were trying to double team Jalen Carter a lot. So a lot of, Milton Williams, all these guys got a lot of one-on-ones, Josh Sweat. And so they just took turns, man, creating pressure on the quarterback. And it really, you go into the game, you think it's going to be a lot more competitive than that. But, yeah, man, it came out in our favor. I was super happy. But, the reminder of losing that one by 3 a few years prior and having the chance to play these guys again was obviously very fortunate. It don't happen like that all the time. But it was a lesson learned from the first time to, keep attacking even when we were up until the game's over, man.
You talked about the fact that for skilled players, like we do 7-on-7, you guys aren't even involved, right? You're kind of doing your own thing. There's the video, I think it's Saquon snow game. I don't know, I think it was the Rams maybe, the long run. And all of the linemen have like their own mini celebrations in back of the run, right? It's like dudes holding their hands up like this, it's like another guy, it's like this. For y'all, when the run game is going the way you got it going last year, for you, what is better? To be pounding somebody like that in the run? So no more questions?
No more questions.
What's that feeling, man, when you're running the ball, they know you're going to run it, and they can't stop you?
Well, it makes the pass rush so much easier. These guys are thinking, they're not teeing off. If they know that you're going to throw the ball, they don't have to hesitate one bit at the line of scrimmage. So for us, it just allowed the play action, everything that came off of it, to be so much more effective instead of being so one-dimensional. I've been on teams where we couldn't run it effectively and we had to throw it every time. You get a guy like Myles Garrett, TJ Watt out there, it's going to be a long-ass day for you, no matter who it is. So for me, it just allowed us to have a lot more presence in the play-action game, being more aggressive at the line of scrimmage rather than sitting back, doing pure dropbacks. So for me, it just made it a whole lot easier. I saw guys on the edge thinking a little bit, not just having the ability to tee off. So for me, it made it a lot more balanced game, a lot more fun to be a part of as a tackle.
You mentioned pass rush, though. Are you want Jerry to just keep playing around in Dallas? And
I ain't worried about Jerry. I'm worried about Micah. I ain't blocking Jerry. They probably gonna pay him. Hey, they ain't got no choice, man. He's the best. Him and Myles Garrett are the best 2 in the league, or one of them. So it is what it is. But I ain't worried about Jerry. I'm worried about Mike on the edge.
What if they do one of those giant moves and he lands up here somewhere?
Shit, he might. Hey, maybe when I'm gone, hey.
They just gifting y'all another Super Bowl. But no, my question is, when you're no longer comparable to your contemporaries, like it's been said, you're in a class of your own, man. Like, do you ever think you would get to that point? And how does it feel to hear, people say stuff like that?
It's been a long time coming. A lot of my years was I'm playing right tackle, and most of the accolades always went to left tackle because they were seen as because usually they're a superior athlete, blind side. So for me, it was like my whole career I've been chasing. I've had guys, the Jason Peters, the Jason Kelces of the world, the Brandon Brooks. I've had so much talent and stuff around me that guys were always like a step ahead. So for me, it was always in my mind, I'm always chasing. But for me, man, I think it's good to finally recognize the other side of the line.
Right.
Willie Anderson was the guy before me, a couple generations. But, defenses evolved, man. They're starting to put guys all over the line of scrimmage. TJ, JJ, all these guys are going to find a weak link. But for me, man, it's just been put my head down, work, and year 13, man, it's coming to light. But Yeah, man, I still feel good. At 35, I don't feel 35.
Don't look it either.
Until I'm out there with some of these young guys. But yeah, man, it's still fun. I still enjoy it. And yeah, man, it's just, when you're in it, you don't really have time to reflect because you're so busy attacking, what you're doing. But I'm very grateful, thankful, and a lot of guys that helped me get to where I'm at.
You do like Bruce Matthews, give us what, a 20-piece?
Yep, Slater.
Crazy? Yeah,
He looks like he still can.
Jackie
though.
Slater.
You look great.
Shoot,
Yeah,
Whitworth?
for sure.
Whitworth looks good.
Yep.
Yeah.
He ain't lost
Still.
much weight. But yeah, I mean, I had guys, there's always guys that are pushing the envelope. Whitworth was another guy. JP, Tunsil's getting out there, Trent's getting up there.
Yep.
The world's turning one day at a time. So, but yeah, man, I'm in a good spot.
Skill positions got numbers to back up what they do. And like Freddie said, like everybody knows you're one of the best, but I'm gonna go get 100 on him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go run for 150 on this defense. Y'all don't have numbers, but I wanna ask, is there pre-games that you just know you about to dominate this dude?
Yeah, but the thing for me is it's very easy to get up for a really, it's easy to get up for a TJ, a Mike, any of those type of guys. When you have a guy that's unassuming, those guys will put you on your ass if you let them. So I've learned my lesson the hard way. But for me, man, it's like in our system, you can look, all the numbers that they put out are bad. So it's either pressures, hurries, or sacks. And so like PFF puts all this stuff out, and what they don't realize is that every system demands something different. Like if you watch Jordan and I, the guard is never leaving the center to come help us. So if we get beat on the inside move, it's a sack.
Right.
There's other systems where if they get beat, they got help. And so all these pressures, all these hurries, it's not all the same. But for me, man, it's like, if I don't get my ass off the ball, I don't care about the tweets, me jumping off sides. If I don't get off the rock, you're done.
Right.
You're done.
That's true.
You run a 100-meter dash, the first 20 yards aren't efficient, you're dust. And that's the way it is for me in the pass set. So for me, like I go into a game, I try not to think too much. It's mainly listen to the center. For me, I'm trying not to give away my stances, the run pass, that's a big telltale. So for me, it's just a lot of those little things. It's like a game within a game.
Why Chan always hating, talking about they ain't got numbers? What, it was 26 games, no sacks?
It was more than
Some
that.
kind of
The
record?
record was 26.
Yeah, he broke it.
But
Numbers.
Yeah.
but it's different. Like different guys rush a mobile quarterback differently than what may attack Baker.
Right.
Yeah, man. Hey, it's the only numbers for us is bad. So it's
Right.
I mean, here it goes again, bruh. The training camp tour. We're in one city this day, another city the next, and somehow we got to get these things shipped out. So you got to know, like, life can be chaotic, but in the chaos, there's someone like ShipStation for you. Because you know what? When life is going crazy, if you're in charge of order fulfillment for e-commerce, ShipStation can keep your day-to-day calm.
E-commerce is where it's going. Everybody's want to do that. ShipStation got you. Print labels, make it easy. We do it all the time. We do it as businesses, and that's where it is. And ShipStation has now figured out a way to make everything easier.
We're always on the road, so it allows us to go out during this training camp tour and just do our thing, man, so we can just create great content for you guys. ShipStation does the rest for us.
Hey man, you know how it is with the pivot. We always have to ship something, and we're lucky to have ShipStation to simplify everything and help us with all of our shipping needs.
Yeah, you're talking about simplifying it, man. I've watched our team with the click of a button create labels, and that was done.
Bro, you talking about proof? 130,000 companies use their e-commerce through ShipStation, and 98% of those companies, including the pivot, stick with ShipStation when you're there for a year. They know what they're doing.
Switch to ShipStation today.
Man, y'all gotta go to shipstation.com/pivot to sign up for a free trial today. That's shipstation.com/pivot.
You had an opportunity to play with, in my opinion, like the most famous center in the history of football. Like you can argue where Jason stacks up, but everybody knows he's a Hall of Famer. But he also became a star here. You mentioned Jason Peters. When you're playing on an offensive line with a guy like Jason Kelce, it does bring attention to the entire unit. What was it like to play with him for that extended period of time and be so dominant up front?
It was fun being around somebody that was so intense and just put so much into the game. Because there's not, there's the guys that lay on the line, and there's some guys that are ultra serious about it. That's how he was. But then, man, I mean, a lot of our times in the meeting room, man, we were sitting there bullshitting, laughing. So, man, when it was time to take it very serious, we did. We took it to the utmost seriousness. And then when it's time to relax and have a good time and joke around, we did. So, I never had a brother growing up. So he was a long-lost brother of mine, and I got to see the evolution of him, as a young guy in the league. And I just saw him consistently get better and better. and you look at some of the stuff he does on the second level, screen game. Man, I don't know there'll ever be another guy like that.
No.
He ran a 4-1 short shuttle. And what are we talking about? The guy's an animal. So, but having that guy, every day at practice, sometimes he had a short fuse, he'd get angry. So he always kept me on my toes. And so I always looked, every day I came in here, it was always something interesting and fun. And then now you had the podcast start up. I was in the room when it started up. I was watching it, and then poof,
Exactly.
blew up. I said, hey, go on with your bad self. Hey, I'm gonna sit here and enjoy it. But I don't mind being the Robin to the Batman. That's how I like to roll.
This obviously, when we listen to you talk, this is not a Philadelphia accent. When you were drafted, people don't understand that you have to acclimate to not only the team you're going to, but to the culture and to the city. In the story I read, you talked about, having a cheesesteak. And you actually said, one of your quotes was, "I know I'll be here for the next 4 years." It's turned into 13 and counting. What does Philadelphia mean to you in playing for some of the most rabid fans in all of sports?
It's like a bunch of imperfect people that make a perfect football city. That's the way I see kind of all of us. I came in here, man, obviously a guy from Texas, don't have a Philly accent, so a lot to learn, a big city, a father my rookie year, so I had my first son my rookie year. So a lot going on, but like I said, man, I had always had guys to turn to. I had such a great locker room. I had outlets, and it's not like that everywhere. So, if I went to Jacksonville, if I went to Miami, man, it may have been a different story for me. But I came to a city that was, obviously needed a tackle at the time. And, I think what the pressure of this city does, it allows me to be my best. So the anxiety that I feel sometimes for games, all that just allows me to enhance my focus, I feel like. So it may be a burden sometimes, but I feel like, and Jason Peters told me this, man, these guys are going to get the best out of you around here.
Mm-hmm.
If you ain't playing good, they're going to let you know.
Yeah.
They'll let you know real quick. So that's always been a big motivator, is the I want to fulfill these guys' passion in the stands, man. I know why they're here, so let's make them appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, you'd have had Chan in Miami, though. Chan, you could have showed him.
Him and Jake, Jake
you
Long
could have
was
showed
down
him
there.
a good time if he'd have went to Miami.
Me and Big Jake had some nights out.
Jake Long? Richie was down there. Who was at right tackle?
Richie, it was Jake Long, Justin Smiley, Jake Grove. We had some wild boys on that line.
Yeah, I was a big Jake Long fan, man. I think he'd be where Joe Thomas is. He never got hurt.
Yeah,
he's one of those guys.
We missed a few years down in Jacksonville. Luke Jokel.
Yeah. But I mean, when you go back and look at that pick, if you go back and look at his college, man, he was.
No, he was the guy. He was the pick, right?
Yeah, I just think, like, once he had his ankle injury his rookie year, he was never the same.
It just didn't pan out.
Yeah.
But shit, I'm a Jaguar lifer. In hindsight, I'm taking you 1,000 times. But talking about your fan base up here, man, someone was just called the biggest mascot, the biggest Philly mascot, Gilly the Kid. What was your first encounter when you first met Gilly?
Where does some bitch get all this energy from? He got more, hey, I need to ball some. But he just embodies all these thousands of people's energy, just took it on the chin for all these decades, never winning nothing, and then finally getting a chance to win something. He's the outlet for all of us. So, but see, you don't realize how much joy you bring people with football until you meet people like Gilly, you meet guys, fans of Philly, the pouring ashes out at the parade. So you don't realize what it means to people until, something's achieved like that.
Right.
But man, it goes for generations. So, but yeah, to your point, man, he got that energy.
What now then, Lane? Because, everyone has a why and they play for a reason and there's a passion that goes behind it. And you talked about those injuries. You can't play this game halfway. Fred mentioned some of the things that you've accomplished, or even the way now you're brought up. Even when I'm on TV with Dan Orlovsky and all, when we speak about Lane Johnson, this future Hall of Famer, Lane Johnson, what gets you out of bed every morning now to continue to do this with all you've accomplished?
Man, I think about a lot of the talent that was around me when I was young and how a lot of these guys never went nowhere in their life. And so if you could be a vessel, not a vessel for them, but just, know that it's possible just for the people back home. So that was one for me. Like, my dad was a really good athlete, but he didn't have the chance to really play in high school from working. So I felt like some of those opportunities he may have not have gotten, I'm trying to take the chance now. And I think what elevates me now or gets me going is that guys in the 30s, mid-30s aren't doing well in football, usually retire. So I'm trying to press the envelope, You got Trent. Trent's one of my mentors. He was there at Oklahoma a couple years before me. So when you see guys like that and know that it's possible, the Slaters. But for me, man, it's really I'm still having fun with my guys. Other than getting cussed out by Stout sometimes, it's a good time in there. But like you said, man, it's hard to replicate just what you feel in the building. It's not even out there on the football field, but just having so many guys investing so much time and effort and for one common goal. It's hard to feel that brotherhood when you're away from the game. So, I constantly, I was the only child, so I was constantly, I felt complete when I was around the team. And so I've been a part of a team since I've been really little, mostly basketball, and I got serious about football in high school.
And Coach, I was surprised there was no cussing on the field. We've done this for years, and coaches are screaming, cussing, yelling, slapping dudes in the helmet.
Yeah.
Like the whole practice just ran smooth. Nobody yelled, nobody screamed. I assumed Sirianni would be a go crazy coach.
He does sometimes.
Because he's snapping on fans and all that stuff. Like you've had different head coaches. Why is he so good at what he does?
I told guys before, man, he's a great communicator. So even the stuff you see, like the interaction with fans, stuff that's discussed on TV, we'll go discuss in that auditorium in there. So stuff, where he may have overreached on some stuff, man, he'll apologize for, hey, man, I was out of line there as the head coach. And so I think when he's vulnerable like that and he's personable, the buy-in is there. And then I just think he's really good, with all the guys that we got in, he does a good job. I think the process, our meetings are usually very high detail, man. It's very boring and monotonous, but, man, we concentrate on a few things. A lot of it is taking the ball away, and not giving the ball away. So that's really what we discussed during the season. But I feel like a lot of our coaching staff is just very approachable. A lot of the guys aren't much older than me, so I feel like I can go right out there and go have a conversation with them where, when I was a younger guy in the league, it may not be like that. Great communicator. And then, I just feel like he's always had good guys around him. He came from a Division III school, but his coach was one of the all-time winningest coaches in, college football history. So he surrounds himself with a lot of good guys too.
Lane, you don't have a tush-push body.
No.
You don't seem like, if I was drawing up the tush-push, if I was Drewski and Shane Gillis.
I'll put them in there.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, we wouldn't use you.
Yeah.
This offseason, it actually went to a vote where they were going to outlaw that play. Why do you think there are so many people who are against a play that's become highly successful for you and this team, but we've watched tons of other teams fail at doing it?
Yeah, I think, you watch New England back in the day when Tom was really good at it. They had their niche, but, I think what makes us so good is, man, we got some tush-push bodies inside. Landon's one of them.
Yeah.
Kelce, a little smaller guy, but he was good at rooting. Brandon Brooks was there once upon a time. We always had some really big guards that did most of the job. Jordan Nyes most of the time is making sure defensive end didn't penetrate the gap backside. So, yeah, man, it was something that it was such a small part of the game. I didn't think it was going to grow to what it has become. But, man, it's a damn quarterback sneak, man. What the hell are we talking about? I didn't,
Right.
We 2 plays. If it was voted out, it is what it is. We ain't got to run that no more. But It lives on. And, it's not really a problem until you have to play Washington and do it 4 or 5 times in a row. That's when you start thinking, hey, maybe they should cancel this shit, But you run it once or twice, you're like, I'm good with it.
Right.
But I think the main thing is player safety. And it does look like a rugby-type play, especially what we did against Washington. So It's not pretty. It's not a sexy play by any means.
Hey, I was definitely on Frankie Luvu's side, too.
Yeah,
I was like, they going to score anyway. I'm just going to keep jumping off sides.
Dive over top.
Yeah, no question.
I have to know this. Do y'all do one of them long-ass play calls for the tush-push, or is it just a nod in the huddle?
Nod.
4, 5, 6, 7 more, left, right, 16.
We may change the formations up a little bit, but,
Just
tush-push, No, it ain't. We don't have a 2-mile play call like a Sean Payton. It's pretty simple. So at least for that play anyway.
Hey, it would be cool, though, if it was a lot that went into it.
Yeah.
Based on the road, double 7, adjusting switch, triple clip, 4,
Yeah.
60.
And you start naming it after people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Coming from a small town like you came from, I think it was like less than 35 people or something.
Yeah, my graduating class, in high school.
Do you now feel like a big fish, right? Because you had to, at some point, get to Oklahoma and say, okay, like, this is way bigger than what I come from. And then you get to Philadelphia, and it's the same thing, right? It is, man, there's not only all these players, but there's all these entertainers, and there's all these other things that they could be doing. I'm just Lane Johnson that plays right tackle. Has it hit you now that you are famous, that you are someone that people celebrate, that there are fans of just you?
At a small scale, like I'm famous in Philly. When I put my hat on back home, nobody really recognized me. I trimmed this beard up a little bit. It's harder to recognize me, but for me, I'm fine with being famous here in Philly for playing, a position I never thought I'd be playing. So it's turned out in a great way. I really, don't get bothered much out here. Fans kind of let me chill. I couldn't really imagine being a quarterback or a running back, somebody that, recognized really worldwide whenever they travel. But for me, hey, man, take it as it comes. So it's all been an adjustment period. But for me, really, a lot of the growing pains was the early years here in Philly, going through Oklahoma. So for me, the toughest transition was in Oklahoma.
What was that? What was it like getting to Oklahoma, coming from Kilgore?
Man, I got my teeth kicked in. I played a little bit of tight end at Kilgore Junior College there in the spring, and then I got there, really got offered late before camp started. So, and I'm playing tight end, at a team that just lost the national championship game. So we have Kevin Wilson, who's back there, was the OC there whenever I was there. So he was the tight ends coach and the offense coordinator. So he was the toughest man I've ever been around. As far as mentality, coaches, yeah, he ran me in the ground first 2 years. But I needed that, man. I really did. I had to learn. I had to, I had to learn what the game was all about. And so I did. Actually, George Kittle's dad was my coach the last 2 years.
Wow.
At Oklahoma. So Bruce played with Bob at Iowa. And so my last 2 years, Coach Wilson ended up going to Indiana before he went to Ohio State as the OC. So, I thank Bruce, Coach Kittle, for really my last 2 years developed me into what I am. So.
Hey, Lane, this will be my last one. And we don't usually ask it during training camp, but the biggest pivot, we ask all of our guests, what's their biggest pivot? That's that one moment you can go look back on and say, because this happened to me, or for me, I am who I am today.
The pivot for me happened when I got to OU. So like I said, I had that small town mentality, and it was like, okay, I'm here, but I didn't feel like I belonged until like the craziest story. So I never played tackle. I played there for like a week. Bob Stoops comes up to me, he's like, you're gonna be a first-round draft pick. And so I was like, I'm a second team DN. He was like, you're gonna be a first-round draft pick after just a couple practices. I was like, okay, that's all I need. That was my turning point as a guy who didn't play much, was a backup. And that gave me the confidence to be like, hey, this man sees something in me that I don't see in myself at the time. And so, whoever it was, I know Coach Stoops came to me and asked me to switch, but Mangino had his hand in it. Coach Heupel did, who's the Tennessee head coach now. So all those guys, gave me my confidence that I needed at that time, which I didn't have at the time.
You bring up Jason Peters. I played him when he was in Arkansas, and it was him, Sean Andrews.
Goodness, Sean Andrews was a beast.
That style of football, because you're almost our age, which is crazy to say, because you're still playing ball. I've been retired 12 years. Do you think it's an advantage that you got to see that old school football now that these young boys are coming in and you still got that shit in you?
Yeah, those guys there were known as the heavy Chevys. Yeah, everybody, including the center, was above 350. So, man, the funny story, I came in my rookie year, I'm like 305. I'm trying to get to 310. And JP, he ain't gonna like this story, but hey, it is what it is. He gets on the gets on the scale after practice, 358. I said, hey, and I'm thinking a 360-pound guy, there ain't no way he can move like that. Oh yeah. So when I saw him, I was like, hey, there's different levels to this. And so he took me to school right away. But yeah, man, he was my biggest mentor here. But yeah, it's a different breed. You go back and look at the Trey Thomases, when y'all were at them linemen, Ramon Foster, I was telling him, I never saw him getting a three-point stance. Too big, 400 pounds, too big. Hey, we're just gonna stay right here. So yeah, I mean, the game has evolved. You look at linebackers now, it's more of like a safety position, the size-wise. When I came in here, I remember having Brandon Spikes coming down there and meeting you in the A-gap. A lot different than what it is now. You got to cover the Tyreek Hills of the world. So the game's evolving, but I have much respect for the guys that came before me, the JPs, the Willie Andersons, because they did, man. They played that old school football back when they had two-a-days, and hey, you had to bow up.
JP was a tight end.
Yeah.
Arkansas.
That's what I'm saying. My question for the Arkansas coaching staff, when he was 320 pounds, you didn't think to maybe put him at tackle, maybe put him at guard, just keep it.
Hey,
they ran the power. And
big-ass Algie Crumpler with 320.
Algie
you know what I'm saying?
Big too, bro.
Algie Crumpler's big.
They ran that power lane, and I asked the coach, how many people were on me? They said one.
Just one. Yeah, JP said Sean Andrews was
a monster, too.
Was a monster. Yeah.
Lane, I was in my first 2 years in the league, I was in New York. And I remember Michael Strahan hated John Runyon. right? Like that matchup, like you could see how he's a nice, very pleasant man. Like he was different that week. Are there any weeks for you, whether it's a player or a team, that you're like, okay, this week I have to turn this thing up a notch because I know what this player is going to bring each and every snap?
Yeah, I mean, for me, always like a good battle for a while was me when I was younger with Kerrigan when he was in Washington.
Yeah.
DeMarcus Lawrence, years there. I think he's probably one of the more underrated guys in the league.
He is.
And he just consistently got better, even now. Anytime, man, I play Micah, the Myles Garrett. What I know, man, any false step, any not getting out of the off the line of scrimmage, man, you cooked. So, you know what I'm talking about?
He get off though.
It don't take much, man. For me, like I go to the, I don't talk much trash. I will if they talk some trash to me, but anytime I have those guys, especially in Dallas, they get off the line real quick there. So, it's always been a battle. So for me, it was Kerrigan for the longest time. DeMarcus Lawrence.
Kerrigan get that sack?
Yeah, do that. Yeah, shit. He'd run the field a couple steps and he'd do that and hook you in your inside shoulder and pry you open. Yeah. So, yeah, he welcomed me to the NFL a few times.
Is there pressure to repeat for you guys?
Yeah, man, there's pressure to perform, most definitely. And I think for us, like what we have to realize is like when you're successful, you got to realize obviously you have talent, but you have to have a work ethic, you have to have a routines because all that stuff's going to be revealed whenever the pressure mounts up. You can't just go out there and, bullshit your way through it. So just realize that you're going to get everybody's best week in, week out. That's what I learned in 2018. We got hit in the fucking mouth from week 1 on. We end up having to have a late surgence to the playoffs. Yeah, for us, man, just be aware and make sure, man, you're not wasting time in here with your routines, making sure, the pre-practice, all that stuff adds up. So for us, don't let success get to your head. Don't let it change what you do day in, day out. And hopefully we can replicate what we did.
Yeah. Chan, you had an offensive lineman for a father. Could you imagine if Lane was your dad? And like you wouldn't have to tell me much to get me to do the right thing. Do your kids look at you as like this big imposing figure, or are you just pops?
Well, I come as like, I'll discipline my kids, I will. But for me, if it's a bad look or a grunt or something, hey man, do the right thing. Right. What you doing? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's more of like an educational, like, yes, you can go the hard way, we can do this the easy way, but it's more of, I'm trying to help you, I'm trying to get the most out of you, But the biggest thing for me is jiu-jitsu. I don't have to do much. Right. I send them out there on that mat. They get choked out, tapped out. It's gonna save me a lot of ass whooping. So, what I like about that, man, the outlet there is that they bullshit in class. Coach kicks them out. So a lot of discipline we learn now, or in athletics, he learns then. But yeah, early on as a parent, especially with the first child, man, you learn it's a big difference between the first one and the second one. So, for me, the first one, a lot of hands-on. Second child, laid back and try to be a more calculated approach,
What made you put him in jiu-jitsu?
They wanted to try it, and then my son wanted to quit after the first practice. I smiled at him, said, "You gonna be back?" He did. Hey, he came back, and now he's in love with it. But I just want to, what I want them to realize, hey, what you're seeing now, the presentation to me now, is not what it's always been. And I still feel like my mentality, I'm still always gonna be where I came from. I don't want to feel like I'm superior or better than I'm supposed to be. And once this is over, I'm going to go back to, where I was. So it all comes full circle. And for me, I'm in a good spot, man. So man, I love 30s are a lot better than the 20s, at least for me anyway. So.
Yeah, man, I love that, man. Listen, I appreciate you, bro. I know you got to go, but for me, man, for you to give us this much time on a camp day, I understand what it is, man. Thank you so much.
No, thank y'all. I've been watching all y'all's podcasts and stuff year in, year out. So definitely big entertainment, but, a lot of stuff y'all talking about, you don't get to hear from guys. So huge shout out to y'all, man. Y'all got a good thing going, and I will keep watching.
Man, appreciate it. We saw you on the field. I was like, they ain't look like that back in the day.
Hey, yeah.
That's the first thing I said.
Horns was down here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Man, good seeing
you. What was your hoop game like, though? Like, what was
I played out the three. I used to pop. Yeah.
You did not.
I played some defense. I didn't play down low.
Now he played the three. Yeah, now he.
We got to go back to the same.
Hey, now he a stretch three. You know what I'm saying? He's like, really, I started it all. I was more Jokic than Jokic.
Chan, you got to get out the pick. You ain't get 13 in.